The invitation arrived on the worst day of my life. Not because of what it promised, champagne, designer gowns, a night among people who moved through the world like they owned it, but because of what it meant. Isabella De Luca didn't send invitations to people like me. She sent warnings. I stood in the penthouse bathroom I'd been scrubbing for the past hour, the cream-colored envelope heavy in my hands. My reflection stared back at me from the mirror, tired eyes, hair pulled into a severe bun, the gray uniform that made me invisible to everyone who mattered. The envelope was expensive. I could tell by the weight of the paper, the raised lettering, the wax seal pressed with her initials. Inside, the invitation was even worse. You are cordially invited to celebrate the union of Isabella De Luca and Victor Castellano. My hand shook. This wasn't an invitation. This was a performance. And I was the punchline. Isabella De Luca, the woman they called the Mafia Queen, beautiful and cold as winter, married to one of the most powerful crime bosses in the city, had noticed me. Not because I mattered, but because I didn't. I was the cleaning woman who scrubbed her floors before dawn. The invisible shadow who moved through her home while she slept in silk sheets worth more than my annual salary. And now she wanted me at her wedding. I should have thrown it away. Should have walked out of that bathroom and never looked back. But something stopped me. Something that had been building inside me for months, years, maybe, since the day I'd accepted that this was all I'd ever be. I looked at my reflection again. Saw the woman I used to be, buried beneath exhaustion and survival. And I made a decision that would change everything. If you're ready for a story about power, obsession, betrayal, and the kind of love that burns everything it touches, then you're exactly where you need to be. This is the Korean Dawn, and we bring you the stories that will keep you up at night, the ones that make your heart race and your soul ache. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is just beginning, and you won't want to miss a single moment. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you're ready to watch a queen fall and an empire rise. Now, let's get into this. My name is Elena Cruz, and I learned to be invisible at 23. It wasn't a choice. It was survival. 6 years ago, I had a different name, not legally, but in the way that mattered. I was Elena Cruz, rising star. Elena Cruz, the art curator who'd landed a position at the Castellano Gallery before she'd even finished her master's degree. Elena Cruz, whose future was so bright it hurt to look at directly. Now I was just Elena. The woman who cleaned penthouses in the financial district before the sun came up. The woman nobody saw. I pushed my cart down the hallway of the Castellano Tower, my footsteps silent on marble floors that cost more per square foot than most people's homes. It was 4:47 a.m. The building was mine for another hour, mine and the other ghosts who kept the machinery of wealth running while the wealthy dreamed. The Castellano penthouse took up the entire top floor. I'd been cleaning it for 8 months, ever since Mrs. Chen retired and the management company needed someone who could pass a background check and keep her mouth shut. The pay was decent. The hours were brutal. And the invisibility was absolute. Isabella De Luca, soon to be Isabella Castellano, lived here with her fiancé Victor, though I rarely saw either of them. They kept late hours, moved in circles I couldn't imagine, left behind messes that told stories I'd learned not to read. Blood on marble floors that I scrubbed away without asking questions. Broken glass that I swept up without wondering what it shattered. Conversations in Italian that I pretended not to understand, even though I'd minored in it during my previous life. This morning, the penthouse was quiet. I moved through the space with practiced efficiency, living room first, then the kitchen, then the master bedroom if the door was open. Isabella left notes sometimes, instructions written in sharp handwriting on expensive stationery, * deep clean the guest bathroom. The wine stain on the dining room rug needs attention. Don't touch the study, *. Today's note was different. Come to my dressing room when you arrive. IDL. My stomach dropped. In 8 months, Isabella had never asked to see me. I was furniture to her, useful, forgettable, beneath notice. The fact that she wanted me in her private space meant something, and nothing good ever came from being noticed by people like her. I found her in the dressing room that was larger than my entire apartment. She sat at a vanity surrounded by lights, wearing a silk robe that probably cost more than my car, her dark hair falling in perfect waves over her shoulders. She was beautiful in the way that powerful women often are, sharp features, calculating eyes, the kind of beauty that made you want to look away before she noticed you looking. She didn't turn when I entered. "Elena," she said, my name sounding foreign in her mouth. "Close the door." I did. She watched me in the mirror, her expression unreadable. "You've been working here for 8 months, she said. "Yes, ma'am." "And in that time, you've been reliable. Quiet. Forgettable." The word hit like a slap, but I kept my expression neutral. "I do my best, ma'am." "I'm getting married in 2 weeks, she continued, as if I hadn't spoken. "A small ceremony. Only 300 guests. Victor's family, my associates, people who matter." She turned to face me then, and I saw something cold and calculating in her eyes. "I believe in charity, Elena. I believe in lifting up those less fortunate. So I've decided to do something special." My hands clenched at my sides. "I'm inviting you to my wedding." The words hung in the air between us. "Ma'am, You'll attend as my guest," she said, her smile sharp as broken glass. A reminder that success is available to anyone willing to work for it. An inspiration, if you will. I understood then. This wasn't charity. This was cruelty dressed in silk and good intentions. She wanted me there so her wealthy friends could see the cleaning woman trying to fit into their world. So they could smile behind their champagne glasses and feel good about themselves for including someone so beneath them. So Isabella could prove how magnanimous she was, how willing to extend her hand to the help. I should have declined. Should have made an excuse, disappeared back into invisibility where it was safe. Instead, I heard myself say, "I'd be honored to attend." Isabella's smile widened, but it never reached her eyes. "Wonderful. The invitation will be delivered to you this afternoon. Black tie, of course. I'm sure you'll find something appropriate to wear." The dismissal was clear. I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me at the door. "Elena? Don't disappoint me." I told myself I wasn't going to attend. The invitation sat on my kitchen counter for 3 days, mocking me every time I walked past. Cream-colored paper, raised lettering, a wax seal that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. My apartment was small, a studio in a building that had seen better decades, and a neighborhood that real estate agents called up and coming and everyone else called you can't afford anywhere else. But it was mine. I'd fought for every inch of it after everything fell apart. After Marcus. I pushed the thought away before it could take root. Some wounds don't heal, you just learn to stop touching them. My phone buzzed. A text from Rosa, one of the other cleaners I'd become friends with over the years. "Girl, are you seriously thinking about going to this thing?" I told her about the invitation during our lunch break yesterday. She'd looked at me like I was crazy. "I don't know," I texted back. "She's setting you up. You know that, right? You show up in whatever dress you can afford, and they're all going to laugh at you." "I know. So why are you even considering it?" I stared at my phone, trying to find words for something I couldn't quite explain. Rosa meant well, but she didn't understand. She'd never had anything and then lost it. She'd never known what it felt like to be someone and then become no one. Because I'm tired of being invisible, I finally typed. "That's how you get hurt." Maybe. But staying invisible was its own kind of hurt. The next morning, I was scrubbing bathroom tiles in a corner office when I overheard them talking. 2 women, executives from the tech company that leased this floor, standing by the water cooler. They didn't see me, people never saw me when I was working. I was background noise, as noticeable as the hum of the HVAC system. "Did you hear about Isabella's wedding?" the first woman said. "She's invited one of the cleaning staff." "You're kidding." "No, seriously. Apparently it's some kind of charity thing. She wants to show how progressive she is. The second woman laughed, the sound sharp and mean. God, can you imagine? That poor woman is going to show up in some department store dress, surrounded by people in Valentino and Dior. It's going to be a disaster. It's cruel, is what it is. But that's Isabella for you. They moved on, their voices fading, and I sat back on my heels. That poor woman. The phrase echoed in my head as I finished the bathroom, moved on to the next office, scrubbed my way through the rest of the floor. That poor woman. I'd been that woman for 6 years now. The object of pity, of condescension, of casual cruelty from people who thought poverty was a personal failure rather than a systemic one. And I was so tired of it. That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened my laptop and pulled up my old portfolio. Elena Cruz, art curator. The website was still live, though I hadn't updated it since everything fell apart. Photos of gallery openings I'd organized, exhibitions I'd curated, articles that mentioned my name alongside words like promising and innovative and rising star. The woman in those photos looked like a stranger. Confident. Polished. Visible. I'd been 23 when I curated my first major exhibition at the Castellano Gallery. It was a showcase of emerging Latin American artists, and I'd worked for 6 months to make it perfect. The opening night was magical, champagne flowing, collectors making offers, artists crying with joy. Victor Castellano himself had congratulated me. He'd been younger then, not yet the feared crime boss he'd become. Or maybe he'd always been that, and I'd just been too naive to see it. He'd smiled at me, this handsome man in an expensive suit, and told me I had a bright future. 2 months later, I met Marcus. Marcus Rivera, junior attorney at a prestigious firm, charming and attentive and everything I thought I wanted. We dated for a year. He proposed on my 25th birthday. I said yes because I was in love and stupid and didn't see the warning signs. The control started slowly. Questions about where I'd been, who I'd talked to, why I was dressed a certain way. Then suggestions about what I should wear, how I should style my hair, which friends I should spend less time with. Then demands. By the time I realized what was happening, I was isolated. My friends had drifted away. My family was 3 states away, and I'd made excuses not to visit so many times they'd stopped asking. My entire world had contracted to Marcus and the wedding we were planning and the life he decided we would have. The engagement ended on a Tuesday. I'd come home early from the gallery to find him in our apartment with someone else. When I confronted him, he'd grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. I'd pulled away, shocked, and seen something cold and calculating in his eyes. "You're overreacting," he'd said. "You always overreact." I'd left that night with a suitcase and my laptop and nothing else. That's when the real destruction began. Marcus was connected. His firm did legal work for half the wealthy families in the city, including the Castellanos. Within a week, rumors started circulating. Elena Cruz was unstable. Elena Cruz had stolen from gallery funds. Elena Cruz couldn't be trusted. None of it was true, but truth didn't matter. The gallery let me go. Other positions I'd applied for suddenly weren't available. My calls went unreturned. My emails bounced back. Marcus had made sure I'd never work in the art world again. I'd fought for 6 months, burning through my savings, living off credit cards, refusing to give up. But eventually reality crushed me. I was 26 years old with a useless degree and a destroyed reputation and rent I couldn't pay. That's when I learned to be invisible. I closed the laptop. That woman, the one in the photos, confident and smiling, she was gone. But maybe, just for one night, I could pretend to be her again. I found the dress at a consignment shop in the fashion district. It was midnight blue, simple but elegant, with clean lines that would have cost thousands new. The price tag said $200, still more than I could afford, but less than the disaster of showing up in something obviously cheap. The shop owner, an older woman with kind eyes, watched me examine it. "That's a good piece," she said. Vera Wang, about 3 years old. Someone wore it to one event and then donated it. Probably didn't fit anymore. It's beautiful. Try it on. I did. The dress fit like it had been made for me, skimming my curves, making me look taller, more confident. In the mirror, I almost recognized myself. Special occasion? The shop owner asked. A wedding. Yours? God, no. I laughed, surprising myself. I'm just a guest. Well, you'll be a stunning one. I bought the dress with my credit card, trying not to think about how I'd pay it off. Shoes were harder. I couldn't afford anything new that would match, so I dug through my closet until I found a pair of black heels I'd bought for gallery openings years ago. They were scuffed, but I could polish them. Jewelry I'd have to skip. Hair and makeup I could do myself. It wouldn't be perfect, but it would be enough to not embarrass myself. That was the goal. Don't be the disaster they expected. Don't give them ammunition. Just survive the night and then disappear back into invisibility. The day of the wedding, I called in sick to my morning cleaning shift. My supervisor was annoyed but didn't push. I had enough goodwill built up from 6 years of never missing a day that I could afford one absence. I spent the morning getting ready with a care I hadn't bothered with in years. Long shower. Shaved legs. Moisturizer I'd been saving for a special occasion that had never materialized until now. I did my hair in loose waves, the way I used to wear it, and my makeup subtle but polished. When I finally put on the dress and looked in the mirror, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not quite pride. Not quite hope. But something close. The wedding was at the Castellano estate, a sprawling property in the hills overlooking the city that I'd only ever seen in magazines. I took an Uber, another expense I couldn't afford, because I sure as hell wasn't showing up on the bus. The driver whistled when he saw my destination. Big event? Something like that. You look nice. Thanks. He dropped me at the gate, where security checked the invitation against a list and waved me through. My hands shook as I walked up the long driveway, watching luxury cars glide past me, Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, vehicles worth more than I'd earn in a lifetime. The estate was even more impressive up close. Marble columns. Manicured gardens. Lights strung through the trees, creating a fairy tale atmosphere. Beautiful people in designer clothes moved toward the entrance, laughing, confident, at home in a world I'd once had access to and then lost. I took a breath, lifted my chin, and walked through the doors. The reception hall was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers the size of cars. White roses everywhere. Tables set with china that probably cost more per plate than my monthly rent. And people, hundreds of people, all dripping in wealth and privilege and the casual cruelty of those who'd never wanted for anything. I felt eyes on me immediately. Curious glances. Assessing looks. Whispers behind manicured hands. Who is that? I don't recognize her. Is she someone's plus one? I kept my head high and made my way toward the seating chart. My name was there, Elena Cruz, assigned to a table in the very back of the room. As far from the head table as possible while still technically being present. The message was clear: you're here, but you don't matter. I was looking for my table when I heard her voice. Elena. You came. Isabella swept toward me in a wedding dress that probably cost more than my car, her smile wide and fake as plastic. Behind her, a photographer was already raising his camera. This was it. The moment she'd orchestrated. The photo op of the generous bride welcoming the cleaning woman, proving how progressive and charitable she was. I forced a smile. Congratulations, Isabella. You look beautiful. Thank you. I'm so glad you could make it. I was just telling Victor about our diversity initiative. She gestured to the tall, dark-haired man beside her, Victor Castellano, her new husband, the man I'd once worked for. His expression was unreadable as he looked at me. It's important to remember where we all come from, Isabella continued, her voice carrying to the people around us. Elena cleans my home, and she does such wonderful work. I wanted to make sure she knew she's valued. The photographer's camera flashed. People were watching now, a circle of curious onlookers forming around us. I felt heat creeping up my neck. This was it, the humiliation she'd planned. The cleaning woman in her second-hand dress, surrounded by wealth and elegance, clearly out of place. That poor woman. And then a voice cut through the moment like a blade. Isabella. Everyone turned. A man stood at the edge of the circle, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that was clearly bespoke. Dark hair pushed back from his face. Sharp features. Eyes so dark they looked black in the chandelier light. And an expression that made the temperature drop 10 degrees. Isabella's smile faltered. Lucien. I didn't know you were attending. I wasn't invited, he said, his voice carrying an accent I couldn't quite place. Eastern European, maybe. I'm here for business with Victor. His eyes moved to me, and I felt the weight of his attention like a physical thing. And who is this? If you're hooked right now, and I know you are, make sure you're subscribed to the Korean Dawn. We're just getting started, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Every subscriber helps us bring you more stories like this. Hit that button. Drop a comment. Let's build this together. The moment Lucien Moretti's eyes locked on mine, something shifted in the air. I didn't know who he was then, not really. Just that Isabella had gone pale, that Victor's expression had hardened, that the people around us had taken an instinctive step back. This is Elena, Isabella said, her voice tight. She works for me. Works for you, Lucien repeated, still looking at me. Doing what? I clean her home, I said before Isabella could answer. My voice came out stronger than I felt. I'm part of the housekeeping staff. Something flickered in his eyes, interest, maybe, or calculation. And you're here as a guest? Isabella was kind enough to invite me. Kind. The word held weight, like he was testing its shape. How generous. He turned to Isabella, and I watched her stiffen. Tell me, Isabella. When you invited Elena, did you seat her at your table? Or did you exile her to the back of the room where your friends could watch her struggle with which fork to use? Silence crashed down. Isabella's face flushed red. Lucien, I don't appreciate. I don't care what you appreciate. His voice was calm, almost pleasant, but there was steel underneath. You invited this woman as entertainment. As a joke. So you could prove to your wealthy friends how charitable you are while ensuring she knows her place. That's not. Yes, it is. He looked at me again. What's your name? Your full name. Elena Cruz. Elena Cruz. He said it like he was committing it to memory. Have you eaten? I blinked, thrown by the question. No, I just arrived. Good. You'll join me at my table. Lucien, Victor said, speaking for the first time. His voice held warning. This isn't appropriate. Neither is humiliating a guest in your own home. Lucien extended his hand toward me. Elena? Every instinct told me this was dangerous. That accepting his hand would pull me into something I didn't understand, with people I didn't know, in a world that had already destroyed me once. But looking at Isabella's furious expression, at the shocked faces around us, at the photographer's camera still poised to capture this moment, I took his hand. His grip was warm, firm, and when he smiled at me, it was the first genuine smile I'd seen all night. Let's get you some champagne, he said. And then you can tell me exactly why Isabella De Luca is so afraid of you. I'm not afraid of her, Isabella hissed. Lucien didn't bother responding. He just led me away, and the crowd parted for him like water. His table was near the front, close enough to the head table to be important, far enough away to make a statement. The people seated there looked like they belonged in a different tax bracket than the rest of the room. An older man with silver hair and expensive watch. A woman who could have been a model, her dress cut so low it was practically illegal. two younger men who had the look of bodyguards trying to pass as guests. They all watched as Lucien pulled out a chair for me. "Everyone, this is Elena Cruz," he said. "Elena, this is my table. You'll be safe here." Safe. The word felt strange coming from him. I sat, hyper-aware of how out of place I was. The woman in the daring dress looked me over with sharp eyes, then smiled. "I like your dress," she said. Her accent was Italian. "Vera wine?" "Yes." "How did you?" "I have 3 of them." She leaned forward, conspiratorial. "But I like yours better. That color is stunning on you." The older man chuckled. "Lucia, you're supposed to be subtle." "Why?" "Life is too short for subtle." She extended a perfectly manicured hand. "Lucia Moretti. Lucien's sister." "Sister." That explained the shared features, the dark eyes, the sharp bone structure. "Elena Cruz," I said, shaking her hand. We gathered. Lucia's eyes sparkled with amusement. "So tell me, Elena Cruz, what did you do to make Isabella look like she wanted to kill you?" "I existed," Lucien said before I could answer. He'd taken the seat beside me, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something expensive and understated. "Isabella invited Elena as a charity case. A prop to prove how generous she is." "How delightfully cruel," Lucia said. "I knew I liked her for a reason." "You like everyone who makes life difficult for people you don't like," the older man said. He looked at me with kinder eyes. "I apologize for my daughter. She has no filter. I'm Alessandro Moretti." Moretti. The name clicked into place, and I felt my stomach drop. The Moretti family. One of the 5 families that controlled organized crime in the city. Drug trafficking, money laundering, political corruption. Their name appeared in newspaper articles about investigations that never went anywhere, trials that ended in acquittals, witnesses who disappeared. And I was sitting at their table. "You look pale," Lucien said quietly. "Would you like water?" "I need to leave." "No, you don't. I don't belong here. Neither do half the people in this room." His hand covered mine on the table, warm and solid. "Breathe, Elena. You're safe. You're a criminal." "Yes." The honesty was startling. "I'm a lot of things," he continued, his voice low enough that only I could hear. "But tonight, I'm the man who pulled you away from Isabella's cruelty. Can that be enough for now?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something I hadn't expected. Understanding. Like he knew what it felt like to be the person everyone looked down on, the one who didn't belong. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. "Because Isabella is a hypocrite who treats people as disposable. Because Victor owes me a favor and this is how I'm collecting it." And he paused, something shifting in his expression. "Because when I saw you standing there, trying so hard to be invisible, it reminded me of someone." "Who?" "Me. A long time ago." Before I could respond, a server appeared with champagne. Lucia raised her glass in a toast. "To new friends and old enemies," she said. "And to Elena, who had the courage to show up." We drank. The champagne was better than anything I'd ever tasted. And despite everything, the danger, the confusion, the absolute insanity of sitting at the Moretti family table, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Seen. Dinner was surreal. I sat between Lucien and Lucia, surrounded by people who operated in a world I'd only ever glimpsed from the outside. They talked about business deals and property acquisitions and political connections with the casual ease of people who'd been born into power. But they also talked to me. Lucia asked about my work, genuinely curious about what it was like to move through wealthy people's homes unseen. Alessandro told stories about his grandmother, who'd been a housekeeper before his grandfather built the family empire. The bodyguards, Marco and Dante, argued good-naturedly about soccer. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. For someone to ask what I was really doing here, why Lucien had bothered with me, what made me think I belonged. But nobody did. Instead, Lucia refilled my champagne glass and told me about the art galleries she patronized in Milan. Alessandro asked if I'd been to the new exhibition at the Contemporary Museum. Lucien was quieter, but I felt his attention on me throughout the meal, steady and present. It was only when the main course arrived that I noticed Isabella watching from the head table. Her expression was venomous. "She's going to make your life hell," I said quietly to Lucien. "You've embarrassed her in front of everyone she knows." "Good. Good? Isabella needs to remember that money doesn't make you untouchable." He cut into his steak with precise movements. "And you need to remember that you're not as powerless as she wants you to believe. I clean houses for a living. She's married to one of the most powerful men in the city. Our power isn't exactly equal." Lucien smiled, and it was the kind of smile that made me understand why people feared him. "Power is perception, Elena. Right now, everyone in this room is watching you sit at my table. They're wondering who you are, why I'm interested in you, what connections you have that they don't know about. By Monday morning, people will be looking at you differently. I don't want people looking at me. Too late for that." He was right. I could feel the stares, the whispers, the speculation spreading through the room like wildfire. Elena Cruz, sitting with the Morettis. Elena Cruz, who was supposed to be the joke but had somehow become the story. "I didn't ask for this," I said. "No. But you showed up anyway. That takes courage." He looked at me with those dark, unreadable eyes. "Tell me something, Elena. When Isabella invited you, did you know it was a trap?" "Yes." "And you came anyway?" "I was tired of being invisible." "Invisibility is a useful skill," he said. "But it's also a prison." I should know, I've used both. Before I could ask what he meant, music started playing. The first dance, Isabella and Victor, moving across the floor in perfect synchronization while everyone watched. She was smiling, but I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her eyes kept darting toward our table. "Would you like to dance?" Lucien asked. I almost laughed. "I haven't danced in years." "Neither have I." "We'll be terrible together." There was something in his voice, an invitation to step further out of invisibility, to make an even bigger statement. I should have said no. Should have thanked him for dinner and called an Uber and disappeared back into the shadows where it was safe. Instead, I put my hand in his and let him lead me onto the dance floor. Lucien already knew how to dance. His hand settled on my waist, warm through the thin fabric of my dress. His other hand held mine with a confidence that made it easy to follow his lead. We moved together smoothly, and I was suddenly, acutely aware of how close we were. "You lied," I said. "You're not terrible at this." My mother insisted on lessons. She believed that power should be elegant. Was she right? About most things. His eyes held mine. "She would have liked you." "Would have?" "She died when I was 17. "I'm sorry." He shrugged, but I saw something flicker in his expression, old grief, carefully controlled. "It was a long time ago. She taught me everything important before she left." "Like what?" "That power means nothing if you don't use it to protect people who can't protect themselves. That cruelty is the weapon of the weak. That true strength is knowing when to fight and when to show mercy." He spun me gently. "And that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one everyone underestimates." I thought about Isabella, about the trap she'd set, about how it had backfired so completely. "Is that what I am?" I asked. "Dangerous?" You walked into a room full of people who wanted to mock you, held your head high, and didn't flinch. "Yes, Elena. You're dangerous." The song shifted to something slower. More intimate. Lucien pulled me closer, and I let him, hyper-aware of the heat of his body, the strength in his arms, the way his thumb traced small circles on my lower back. "This is insane," I whispered. "Yes. I don't know you." "You know enough." "Do I?" I looked up at him. "I know you're a criminal." I know Isabella is terrified of you. I know everyone at your table treats you like you're dangerous. But I don't know why you're doing this. His hand tightened on my waist, just slightly. Because 6 years ago, I was at a similar event. A fundraiser for some charity I didn't care about, filled with people who pretended to be respectable while doing business with men like me. And there was a woman there, beautiful, brilliant, completely out of place. She'd been invited as entertainment, same as you. A reformed addict who turned her life around, proof that the charity worked. He was quiet for a moment. She stood there while people asked invasive questions about her past, while they treated her recovery like a circus act. And I did nothing. I watched it happen and didn't intervene because it wasn't my business, because I'd learned to be selfish, because I was young and stupid and didn't understand that power means nothing if you don't use it. What happened to her? She killed herself 3 months later. The humiliation broke something in her that couldn't be fixed. I felt his words settle in my chest, heavy and painful. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be sorry. Be angry. Be powerful. Be everything they don't want you to be. His eyes burned into mine. And don't let people like Isabella make you feel small ever again. The song ended. We stood there for a moment longer, and I realized that something had shifted between us. This wasn't just about embarrassing Isabella or making a statement. This was about two people who understood what it meant to be underestimated. Two people who'd learned to survive in hostile territory. Two people who recognized each other. Elena? I turned to find Victor Castellano standing beside us, his expression carefully neutral. May I speak with you? Privately? I'm going to pause here for just a second, because if you're still with me, if your heart is racing the way mine is, then you need to subscribe to the Korean Dawn right now. We're building something special here, and every single one of you matters. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Because this story is about to get so much more intense, and you don't want to miss a single chapter. Thank you for being here. Now let's see what Victor wants. Victor Castellano's private office was on the second floor of the estate, accessed through a side hallway that felt deliberately hidden. Lucien had wanted to accompany me, but I'd insisted on going alone. Whatever Victor wanted to say, it needed to be said without witnesses. The office was exactly what I expected: dark wood, leather furniture, expensive art on the walls. Victor stood by the window, looking out over the gardens where the reception continued below. Thank you for coming, he said without turning. Did I have a choice? Everyone has choices, Elena. It's just that some choices have consequences. He finally looked at me. Do you remember me? Yes. You ran the Castellano Gallery. And you worked for me. I nodded, surprised he remembered. You were talented, he continued. Brilliant, actually. I had plans to promote you to senior curator within a year. And then you disappeared. I left. You ran. His gaze was piercing. After your engagement ended, after the rumors started, you vanished. I tried to find you, wanted to offer you a position, clear your name, but you'd gone underground so completely that even my resources couldn't locate you. This couldn't be real. Victor Castellano, crime boss and gallery owner, had looked for me. Why? Because I don't like waste. And letting Marcus Rivera destroy a career as promising as yours felt wasteful. He moved to his desk, poured 2 glasses of whiskey from a crystal decanter. I know what he did. The lies he spread, the reputation he destroyed. Marcus is persuasive and connected. He made sure you'd never work in the art world again. Then why are you telling me this now? Because Isabella invited you here to humiliate you, and I won't allow it. He handed me a glass. She thinks she's being clever, showing off her charitable side. But all she's done is remind me that 6 years ago, I failed you. I let a talented woman slip through my fingers because I didn't fight hard enough to protect her. I sipped the whiskey. It burned going down, expensive and smooth. What do you want from me, Victor? I want to offer you a job. I almost dropped the glass. What? The gallery is expanding. We're opening a new wing dedicated to contemporary Latin American art. I need someone to curate it, someone with vision, with connections to the community, with the ability to spot talent before it becomes mainstream. He looked at me steadily. I need you. It was everything I'd lost. Everything I'd spent 6 years trying to forget. I've been cleaning houses, I said. I haven't curated in. Doesn't matter. Talent doesn't disappear just because you stop using it. He set his glass down. I'm offering you a second chance, Elena. Take it or don't. But don't make the decision based on fear. Isabella will lose her mind. Isabella doesn't run the gallery. I do. His smile was cold. And she's about to learn that there are consequences for cruelty, even when you're married to someone powerful. I thought about Lucien's words, that power was perception. About how everyone in that ballroom was watching, speculating, wondering who I really was. And I thought about the woman I used to be. The curator who'd dreamed big, who'd seen potential in artists nobody else believed in, who'd fought to make space for voices that weren't being heard. How much does it pay? I asked. Victor named a figure that made my head spin. That's more than I made before. You're worth it. And Elena? He looked at me seriously. This isn't charity. This isn't me trying to assuage guilt or prove a point. This is a business decision. I need your talent. If you take this job, you'll work harder than you've ever worked in your life. I'll expect excellence. Understood? Understood. Good. Come to the gallery Monday morning. We'll discuss details. He moved toward the door, then paused. One more thing. Lucien Moretti is dangerous. Whatever he's offered you, whatever you think is happening between you two, be careful. He's my business partner, but he's not a man to trifle with. He's been nothing but kind. Kindness from a man like Lucien always has a purpose. Victor opened the door. Just remember that when things get complicated. Because with the Morettis, things always get complicated. I returned to the reception in a daze. My mind was spinning, job offer, second chance, Victor's warning about Lucien. It felt like the floor had shifted beneath me, and I wasn't sure which way was up anymore. Lucien found me immediately. What did he want? To offer me a job. His eyebrows rose. Doing what? Curating. My old profession. I looked at him, trying to read his expression. Did you know he was going to do that? No. But I'm not surprised. He guided me away from the crowd, toward a quieter corner. Victor has a long memory. If you impressed him 6 years ago, he wouldn't forget. He said you're dangerous. I am. He said things always get complicated with the Morettis. They do. I laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. You're not even going to deny it? Why would I? It's true. His hand touched my cheek, gentle despite the calluses. But I'll tell you something Victor didn't. Yes, I'm dangerous. Yes, being close to me is complicated. But I don't lie, Elena. I don't manipulate. I don't play games with people I care about. You barely know me. I know enough. His thumb traced my jawline. I know you're brave and smart and stronger than you realize. I know you've survived things that would have broken most people. I know that when you walked into this wedding tonight, you did it with your head high even though you were terrified. How do you know I was terrified? Because I've been there. Different circumstances, but the same feeling, knowing you're walking into hostile territory and doing it anyway because staying invisible hurts more than risking visibility. His hand dropped, but his eyes held mine. Victor warned you about me because he's protective of people he values. That's admirable. But let me tell you something, the danger with me isn't that I'll hurt you. It's that I'll see you. All of you, including the parts you've been hiding. And once I see you, I won't look away. My breath caught. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. Before I could respond, Lucia appeared, her expression urgent. We need to leave. Now. Lucien's demeanor changed instantly, from intense to alert. What happened? Marco just got a call. There's a situation at the docks. She looked at me apologetically. I'm sorry, Elena. Family business. I understand. No, you don't. Lucien pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. But you will. My driver will take you home. He'll wait until you're safely inside. I can take an Uber. My driver, he repeated, his tone leaving no room for argument. Then, softer, please. I nodded. He took my hand, raised it to his lips, a gesture so old-fashioned and courtly that it made my heart stutter. Thank you for tonight, he said. For your courage. For your company. For reminding me why some battles are worth fighting. Lucien. Monday, he interrupted. Come to the gallery. Take the job. Start rebuilding your life. And when you're ready, his eyes burned into mine. Find me. Then he was gone, disappearing into the crowd with Lucia and the bodyguards, leaving me standing alone with my heart racing and my mind spinning. I'd come to this wedding expecting humiliation. Instead, I'd been offered a job, protected by a crime boss, and something else. Something I couldn't quite name, hovering in the space between danger and possibility. The driver was waiting outside, a quiet man in a dark suit who drove a Mercedes that cost more than my entire year's salary. He said nothing during the ride home, just delivered me to my building and waited until I climbed the stairs and locked my door behind me. Only then did I let myself process everything. The dress came off first, carefully hung to be returned to the consignment shop. Then the shoes, the makeup, the hairstyle that had made me look like someone I used to be. In my bathroom mirror, I studied my reflection. Elena Cruz, cleaning woman. Elena Cruz, art curator. Elena Cruz, the woman Lucien Moretti had promised to see. I didn't know which one I was anymore. Maybe I was all of them. Maybe that was okay. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Sleep well, Elena. Tomorrow, everything changes. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I saved the number and went to bed, my dreams full of dark eyes and dangerous promises and the feeling of being seen for the first time in 6 years. Monday morning, I walked into the Castellano Gallery wearing a dress I'd forgotten I owned, charcoal gray, professional, the kind of thing I used to wear to meetings with collectors and artists. It felt like putting on armor. The gallery hadn't changed much in 6 years. Same soaring ceilings, same white walls, same sense of possibility that had drawn me to the art world in the first place. But now I was walking through the front door instead of the service entrance, and people were noticing. The receptionist did a double take. Can I help you? Elena Cruz. I have a meeting with Mr. Castellano. She checked her computer, her expression shifting from dismissive to professionally polite when she found my name. Of course. I'll let him know you're here. Please, have a seat. I didn't sit. I walked through the gallery instead, looking at the current exhibition, contemporary photography, technically skilled but emotionally flat. Safe art for safe collectors who wanted beauty without discomfort. I made mental notes. Things I would change. Artists I would bring in. Ways to challenge viewers instead of just decorating their walls. You're critiquing my curation choices. Victor had appeared beside me, silent as a cat. He looked less intimidating in daylight, still powerful, still dangerous, but more human somehow. It's good work, I said diplomatically. But it's playing it safe. This photographer is talented, but this collection is all technical perfection with no soul. You could swap out half these images with stock photography and nobody would notice. Victor smiled. There's the curator I remember. Come on. Let's talk. His office was different from the one at the estate, more art, less intimidation. A Basquiat on one wall, a Cahind Wiley on another, a piece by a Latin American artist I didn't recognize but immediately wanted to know more about. Coffee? Victor asked. Please. He poured from an expensive-looking machine in the corner, handed me a cup that was perfect, no sugar, splash of cream, exactly how I'd taken it 6 years ago when I'd worked here. He'd remembered. Let's discuss the position, he said, settling into the chair across from me. The new wing opens in 6 months. I need it curated, marketed, and filled with art that will make people stop and actually feel something. Budget is flexible, within reason. You'll have an assistant, access to our acquisition team, and complete creative control. Complete? Within the parameters of what we can legally acquire and display, yes. I'm not interested in censoring your vision. I'm interested in results. I sipped my coffee, thinking. What happened to the current head curator? Nothing. She'll continue managing the main gallery. This is a separate position, reporting directly to me. You'll have autonomy. He leaned forward. But Elena, let me be clear, this isn't a rehabilitation project. I'm not hiring you because I feel guilty about what Marcus did. I'm hiring you because you're brilliant, and 6 years ago I lost something valuable when you disappeared. What if I've lost it? The ability, the vision, You haven't. I can see it in the way you're looking at that Wiley piece right now, dissecting it, thinking about how it speaks to power and representation. You're still that curator, Elena. You've just been in hiding. He was right. I could feel it, that old hunger, the need to find art that mattered and share it with people who needed to see it. When do I start? Today, if you're ready. But first, he pulled out a folder, slid it across the desk. Your contract. Review it. Take it to a lawyer if you want. But know that everything in there is standard, and I've added provisions to protect you. I opened the folder. The salary was generous. The benefits were comprehensive. And buried in the contract was a clause I almost missed. Employee will not be subject to disciplinary action or termination based on unsubstantiated rumors or allegations from third parties without thorough investigation and documentation. Protection. Against people like Marcus who might try to destroy my reputation again. Thank you, I said quietly. Don't thank me. Just don't make me regret this. He stood. Your office is on the 2nd floor. Small, but it has good light. Your assistant is named Jennifer. She's smart, organized, and doesn't gossip. Any questions? Just one. Does Isabella know about this? Victor's smile was cold. Isabella knows that I run this gallery, and she has no say in who I hire. But yes, she's aware. And she's not happy. She'll make this difficult. Let her try. She'll find that targeting my employees is a line she doesn't want to cross. He opened the door. Welcome back, Elena. Try not to disappoint me. My office was indeed small, but Victor was right about the light. Large windows overlooked the street, and the walls were blank, ready for me to fill with inspiration. Jennifer knocked tentatively. Hi. I'm Jennifer Park, your assistant. Welcome to the gallery. She was young, mid-20s maybe, with bright eyes and nervous energy. I liked her immediately. Thank you. I'm Elena. I know. I've been following your old work online. The exhibition you curated 6 years ago, Voices from the Margins, it was incredible. I saw it 3 times. Her enthusiasm dimmed slightly. I'm sorry. I'm fangirling. Professional boundaries. Got it. I laughed. It's fine. It's been a while since anyone remembered that exhibition. Are you kidding? It changed the way I thought about art. You gave space to artists nobody was paying attention to, and half of them are major names now. She pulled out a tablet. Okay, so Mr. Castellano asked me to give you a tour and get you oriented. We have 6 months until the new wing opens. Initial acquisition budget is set, but we can request more if needed. And she hesitated. There's been interest from the media. Word got out that Victor hired a new curator, and people are curious. What kind of interest? Art Weekly wants an interview. The City Chronicle asked for a statement. A few galleries have reached out about potential collaborations. She looked apologetic. And there's been some social media activity. What kind? She pulled up her phone, showed me a Twitter thread. Victor Castellano just hired Elena Cruz as head curator for the new wing. Anyone remember her? She disappeared years ago after some scandal with her ex. Interesting timing. Below it, replies. Wait, wasn't she at Isabella's wedding? Saw photos. She was sitting with the Morettis. Plot twist, Elena Cruz is Victor's new curator and apparently connected to Lucien Moretti? This is messy. I met Elena at a gallery event years ago. She was brilliant. Glad to see her getting a second chance. I closed my eyes. Of course. The wedding, Lucien's intervention, Victor's job offer, it all looked connected. Looked like I was someone's mistress or pawn or secret weapon. I can handle the media inquiries, Jennifer offered. Craft a statement that focuses on the work instead of the personal stuff. Do it. Professional only. No comments about the wedding, about Isabella, about the Morettis. Just the art. Got it. She made notes. Also, Mr. Castellano mentioned you might want to visit some studios this week. Start looking at artists for the exhibition? Yes. Set up appointments. I want emerging artists, people working in different mediums, different perspectives. And Jennifer? Reach out to the artists from Voices from the Margins. See who's interested in being part of this. Her smile was brilliant. That's perfect. Full circle moment. I'll start making calls. After she left, I sat in my office and tried to process everything. Job, visibility, rumors, scrutiny. Everything I'd avoided for 6 years, crashing back into my life all at once. My phone buzzed. Lucien. How's the first day? Overwhelming. Good overwhelming, but still. Good. Come to dinner tonight. I want to hear everything. I stared at the message. Victor's warning echoed in my head, that Lucien was dangerous, that things with the Morettis always got complicated. But I was already in deep. Already visible. Already stepping back into a life where I'd have to be brave. Where and when? I'll send a car. 7 p.m., wear something comfortable. Thank you for staying with this story. If you're invested in Elena and Lucien, if you want to see where this dangerous romance leads, make sure you're subscribed to the Korean Dawn. We're building something special, and your support means everything. Hit that button, turn on notifications, and let's keep this journey going together. The car arrived at exactly 7 p.m. Same driver as before, same Mercedes, same quiet professionalism. But this time, instead of heading toward the wealthy neighborhoods I expected, we drove to the waterfront, the industrial section where shipping containers and warehouses lined the docks. We stopped in front of a converted warehouse with minimal signage. Just a number, 47. The driver opened my door. Mr. Moretti is expecting you on the top floor. Inside, the warehouse had been transformed into something between a fortress and a home. Exposed brick, high ceilings, industrial lighting mixed with carefully chosen art pieces. A freight elevator took me up 3 floors, opening directly into a loft space that took my breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the harbor. The kitchen was open, modern, clearly used. And Lucien stood at the stove, wearing jeans and a casual shirt, cooking. It was possibly the most disarming thing I'd ever seen. Elena. Good timing. I'm almost done. I walked into the space slowly, taking it in. This is where you live? One of the places. I have an apartment downtown for business meetings, a house in the country for when I need silence. But this is home. He gestured to the table, already set. Sit. Tell me about your day. It felt surreal, the crime boss cooking dinner, asking about my job like we were normal people having a normal date. It was good, I said, sitting. Overwhelming, but good. Victor gave me complete creative control. He should. You're talented. How do you know? You've never seen my work. Lucien brought over 2 plates, pasta that smelled incredible, with vegetables and what looked like homemade sauce. I researched you after the wedding. Found articles about your exhibitions, reviews from critics, interviews you gave. You weren't just good, Elena. You were revolutionary. You made space for artists who would have been ignored otherwise. That was 6 years ago. Talent doesn't have an expiration date. He poured wine, red, expensive, probably older than me. The question is, are you ready to step back into that spotlight? Because there's no halfway with this. Once you're visible again, you can't hide. I took a bite of pasta to buy myself time. It was delicious, clearly made from scratch, with fresh herbs and that indefinable quality of food made by someone who actually knows how to cook. You made this yourself? My mother taught me. She believed that powerful people who couldn't feed themselves were pathetic. He smiled slightly. She had opinions about self-sufficiency. Victor warned me about you. I'm sure he did. He said you're dangerous. That things with the Morettas always get complicated. Both true. Lucien leaned back, studying me. But you're here anyway. I'm trying to figure out why you're interested in me. Beautiful women must throw themselves at you constantly. Powerful families must want alliances. So why the cleaning woman from Isabella's wedding? His expression shifted, something darker, more honest. Because you remind me of someone I used to be. Before the money, before the power, before I learned to use fear as a weapon. My family came from nothing, Elena. My grandfather worked on the docks, loading cargo for men who treated him like dirt. He built an empire through violence and intelligence and refusing to accept that his background determined his future. He took a sip of wine. By the time I was born, we had money. Respect. Fear. But I remember the stories, how my grandfather was treated when he was invisible, how people assumed he was stupid because he was poor, how they learned too late that underestimating him was fatal. And you see that in me? I see someone who's been underestimated. Someone who's smarter and stronger than people realize. Someone who could be dangerous if they stopped hiding. His eyes held mine. And yes, I'm attracted to that. Sue me for having a type. I laughed despite myself. Your type is unemployed curators with traumatic pasts? My type is survivors who refuse to stay down. He reached across the table, took my hand. I'm not asking you to be anything you're not, Elena. I'm asking you to stop pretending to be less than you are. And if I do that, if I step back into visibility, take the job, start rebuilding, what happens between us? Whatever we want to happen. That's not an answer. It's the only honest one I have. His thumb traced circles on my palm. I can't promise you safety. My life is complicated, dangerous, full of people who would use anyone close to me as leverage. I can't promise you normalcy or simplicity or happily ever after. What can you promise? That I'll see you. Always. That I won't lie to you or manipulate you or treat you as disposable. That if you let me into your life, I'll protect what's mine with everything I have. He paused. And that whatever happens between us, it'll be your choice. Always. It should have terrified me. The intensity, the possessiveness, the casual acknowledgement of danger. But instead, it felt like the first honest thing anyone had offered me in years. I'm not ready for a relationship, I said. I'm barely ready to have my life back, much less share it with someone. I know. And I have trust issues. Serious ones. Marcus destroyed my ability to believe that men mean what they say. Understandable. So I don't know what this is. But I know I'm not ready for. Lucien squeezed my hand gently. Elena. Stop. I heard you. No pressure, no expectations, no demands. We're just two people having dinner. Can that be enough for tonight? I exhaled, some of the tension leaving my shoulders. Yes. That can be enough. We finished dinner talking about safer things, art, music, books. Lucien was surprisingly well-read, with opinions on contemporary fiction and strong feelings about Italian cinema. He made me laugh with stories about his sister Lucia's dramatic approach to life, and listened intently when I talked about the artists I wanted to feature in the new wing. It felt almost normal. Almost. After dinner, he walked me to the window wall, and we stood looking out over the harbor. Ships moved in the distance, their lights reflecting on dark water. Can I ask you something personal? I said. Always. Victor said you and he are business partners. What kind of business? Lucien was quiet for a moment. Do you really want to know? Yes. The Castellanos control certain aspects of the city, political connections, union influence, property development that's not entirely legal. The Morettas have connections overseas, shipping, import-export, financial networks. We work together when our interests align. Drugs? No. My family has rules about that. We don't touch narcotics, human trafficking, or anything involving children. Everything else is negotiable. So what do you do? I move money. I protect people who need protecting. I solve problems that can't be solved through legal channels. I invest in legitimate businesses and clean the money we make from less legitimate ones. He looked at me. I'm telling you this because I won't lie to you. But once you know, you can't unknow it. And being close to someone in my world means accepting certain truths about how power actually works. I thought about that. About moral lines and gray areas and the difference between the law and justice. Have you ever killed anyone? Yes. The answer was simple, direct, devastating. People who deserved it. According to my moral code, yes. According to the law, that's not my decision to make. He turned to face me fully. If that's a deal breaker, tell me now. I won't be offended. I should have been horrified. Should have walked away, called Victor, warned Jennifer that I was getting involved with dangerous people. Instead, I thought about Marcus. About how he destroyed my life and faced no consequences. About how the legal system had failed me, had failed so many women I knew. And I thought about Isabella, humiliating people for entertainment, using her wealth as a weapon, never facing accountability. I'm not saying I approve, I said slowly. But I understand that sometimes the systems that are supposed to protect us don't work. That sometimes justice requires stepping outside legal boundaries. Lucien's expression softened. You're more pragmatic than I expected. I've learned that the world isn't fair, and good intentions don't pay bills or stop abusers. I looked up at him. I'm not ready to be your girlfriend or partner or whatever this might become. But I'm also not walking away. What are you doing, then? Getting to know you. Learning what this is. Seeing if the danger is worth the risk. And if it's not? Then I'll tell you. And you'll let me walk away. Right? Right. He touched my face, gentle despite the calluses and violence those hands were capable of. Can I see you again? Yes. When? I don't know. Soon. I need to focus on the gallery, on rebuilding my career, on. He kissed me. It was soft, careful, asking rather than demanding. And I kissed him back, letting myself fall into it for just a moment before pulling away. Soon, I repeated, breathless. Soon, he agreed. The driver took me home, and I spent the night replaying everything, the conversation, the kiss, the terrifying honesty of knowing exactly what kind of man Lucien Moretti was. I didn't sleep much. But for the first time in 6 years, I felt alive. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of work. I visited studios, met with artists, negotiated acquisitions. Jennifer proved invaluable, organized, tactful, with an instinct for which artists would say yes and which needed more convincing. Victor gave me free rein, only stepping in when contracts needed signing or when budgets required adjustment. The art world started noticing. Art Weekly ran their interview, a careful piece focusing on my curatorial vision rather than my past. Other publications followed. Gallery owners reached out about collaborations. Artists I'd worked with years ago sent messages, welcome back. We missed you, I was becoming visible again. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. But with visibility came complications. Isabella appeared at the gallery on a Tuesday afternoon, dressed in head-to-toe Chanel, her smile as sharp as ever. Elena. What a surprise. I was in the main gallery, reviewing placement for an installation. I turned slowly, keeping my expression neutral. Isabella. Can I help you? I heard you were working here. I wanted to see for myself. She looked around, her gaze assessing, judgmental. Quite the comeback. From cleaning my floors to curating Victor's gallery. How did you manage that? Talent and hard work. Or connections? Her eyes glittered. I heard you've been seen with Lucien Moretti. Quite frequently, actually. So the rumors had reached her. Of course they had. My personal life isn't your concern. Isn't it? Victor is my husband. This gallery is part of my family's assets. And Lucien, she stepped closer, lowering her voice. Lucien Moretti is dangerous, Elena. He's not someone you want to be involved with. That's my decision to make. Is it? Or are you being used? She tilted her head, studying me. Victor and Lucien have business together. What if this is all just strategy? Give the cleaning woman a job, make her feel seen, use her as leverage or cover for whatever they're really doing? The words hit harder than I wanted to admit. Because the same thought had crossed my mind, late at night when I couldn't sleep. What if this was manipulation? What if I was a pawn in some game I didn't understand? Why do you care? I asked. Because I don't like being made to look foolish. You were supposed to be the joke at my wedding, Elena. The reminder that some people will always be beneath us, no matter how hard they try to climb. Instead, you ended up at the Moretti table, getting job offers, building alliances. You made me look cruel. You were cruel. Her smile was cold. Welcome to the real world. People like me stay on top by keeping people like you in your place. And if you think Victor or Lucien actually care about you, you're more naive than I thought. She turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. Your ex-fiancé? Marcus Rivera? He's in town. I ran into him at a charity event last week. He asked about you. Seemed very interested in your miraculous resurrection. Ice flooded my veins. Why are you telling me this? Consider it a courtesy. Marcus is persistent and vengeful. If I were you, I'd watch my back. Men like him don't like seeing their victims succeed. She left, her perfume lingering like poison. I called Lucien immediately. He answered on the first ring. Elena? Can we meet? Now? Where are you? The gallery. Stay there. I'm 10 minutes away. He arrived in 8. I was in my office when he walked in, and the sight of him, solid, present, real, made something in my chest unclench. What happened? He asked. I told him everything, Isabella's visit, her implications about being used, and most terrifying, Marcus being in town. Lucien's expression darkened with each word. Marcus Rivera, he said quietly when I finished. The attorney who destroyed your reputation. Yes. And he's asking about you. According to Isabella, yes. Lucien pulled out his phone, made a call. Spoke in rapid Italian to whoever answered. Gave instructions I didn't fully catch. When he hung up, his expression was carefully controlled. Marco was looking into Marcus's current location and activities. We'll know everything by tonight. You don't have to. Yes, I do. He moved closer, his hands on my shoulders. Listen to me carefully, Elena. You are not a pawn. You are not being used. Victor hired you because you're talented. I'm interested in you because you're intelligent and brave and everything I find attractive. This isn't strategy. How do I know that? Because I'm telling you. And I don't lie. His grip tightened slightly. But Isabella is right about one thing: Marcus is dangerous. Men who destroy women's lives out of spite don't just stop. If he's in town and asking about you, we need to be prepared. Prepared for what? For him trying to hurt you again. Professionally, personally, whatever he thinks will cause the most damage. Lucien's eyes were hard. But he'll have to go through me first. I don't need you to protect me. I know. But you have it anyway. He touched my face, gentle despite the threat of violence underlying his words. Let me do this, Elena. Let me make sure he can't hurt you again. I should have said no. Should have insisted on handling it myself, on not owing Lucien anything, on maintaining my independence. But I was terrified. And tired. And so grateful not to face this alone. Okay, I whispered. Okay. He stayed with me while I finished work, a silent presence that was somehow comforting. When Jennifer knocked to say goodbye for the day, she did a double-take seeing Lucien but was professional enough not to comment. At 6, Lucien's phone buzzed. Marco found him. Marcus is staying at the Regency Hotel downtown. He's been here for 3 days, attending business meetings. He showed me his phone, a photo of Marcus leaving a restaurant, looking exactly as I remembered. Handsome, polished, the kind of man who seemed trustworthy until you knew better. He's also been asking questions, Lucien continued. About you, about the gallery, about your connection to Victor and me. He's gathering information. For what? That's what we need to find out. We should have stayed away. Should have let Marcus do whatever he was planning and dealt with it as it happened. But Lucien had other ideas. I want to talk to him. What? Face to face. Make it clear that you're off limits. Lucien's expression was predatory. Sometimes the only way to stop men like Marcus is to show them exactly what they're up against. He'll never agree to meet with you. He will if you ask. My stomach dropped. You want me to contact him? I want you to send him a message saying you'd like to meet. Clear the air. Talk about the past. Whatever sounds natural. He'll agree because he can't resist the chance to manipulate you again. And then what? Then I show up instead. And we have a conversation about boundaries. It was a terrible idea. Dangerous, potentially violent, exactly the kind of thing I should refuse. Okay, I heard myself say. You're sure? No. But I'm tired of running, of hiding, of letting Marcus's shadow control my life. If you can make him go away, I want you to try. Lucien's smile was sharp and dark. Then let's make a call. I used the phone number Marcus had given me years ago, the one I deleted and blocked and tried to forget. Lucien retrieved it from some database I didn't want to know about. My hands shook as I typed the message. Marcus, I heard you're in town. Can we meet? Talk about what happened. I think we need closure. It felt like summoning a demon. The response came within minutes. Elena. I've been hoping you'd reach out. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. at the Regency Bar? I'd like that. Of course he would. The chance to see me again, to prove he still had power over me, to remind me of everything he'd taken. He agreed, I told Lucien. Good. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., I'll be there instead. You stay at the gallery, safe, surrounded by people. And by 3 p.m., Marcus Rivera will understand exactly what happens to men who hurt what's mine. The possessiveness should have bothered me. Instead, it felt like armor. Stay with us, subscribe to the Korean Dawn if you haven't already. Because what happens when Lucien meets Marcus? That's a confrontation you absolutely cannot miss. We're building this story together, and every single one of you matters. Hit that button. Turn on notifications. And let's see what happens when two dangerous men go to war over the woman they both underestimated. I think, I said slowly, it leaves us together. However that looks. Girlfriend, partner, whatever words fit. I'm yours if you're mine. His smile could have lit the city. I'm yours. Have been for a while now. He kissed me, and it was different from before, the deeper, more certain, full of promise. And when he led me to his bedroom, when clothes came off and boundaries dissolved, when we learned each other's bodies the way we'd learned each other's minds, it felt like the final piece clicking into place. I'd been invisible for so long. But with Lucien, I was seen. Known. Play. The next day passed in agonizing slowness. I tried to focus on work, reviewing proposals from artists, discussing marketing strategies with Jennifer, meeting with the installation team about the new wing's layout. But my mind kept drifting to the Regency Hotel, to Marcus waiting in the bar, to Lucien walking in instead of me. At 1:45 p.m., Lucien texted. Heading in. Don't worry. This will be handled cleanly. Cleanly. What did that mean for someone like Lucien? Jennifer noticed my distraction. Everything okay? Just personal stuff. Nothing work-related. The personal stuff involves Lucien Moretti, doesn't it? At my expression, she raised her hands. I'm not judging. Just observing. He's been here a lot, and you've been different lately. Happier, maybe. Or at least less like you're trying to disappear into the walls. That obvious? Only to someone paying attention. She sat on the edge of my desk. Look, I know it's none of my business. But for what it's worth, I did some research after the wedding photos started circulating. The Morettis are dangerous, yes. But they're also known for being loyal to people they care about. And Lucien, she paused. He doesn't usually do relationships. So if he's making exceptions for you, that probably means something. Or it means I'm useful to him. Do you actually believe that? I thought about Lucien cooking dinner, listening to me talk about art, promising to see me. Really see me, including the broken parts. No, I admitted. But I'm scared to believe otherwise. Understandable. Just, Jennifer's expression was earnest. Don't let fear make your decisions. You've already been brave once. Keep being brave. At 2:15 p.m., my phone rang. Lucien. I answered immediately. What happened? It's handled. His voice was calm, controlled. Marcus won't be bothering you again. What did you do? Had a conversation. Made some things clear. Showed him evidence of certain financial improprieties that would interest the Bar Association. A pause. He's leaving town tonight. And if he comes back, or if he says your name again, those financial records go public. I exhaled shakily. You blackmailed him. I provided incentive for better behavior. Lucien. Elena, he destroyed your career because you rejected him. He's been planning to do it again. I saw the notes on his hotel desk while he was in the bathroom. Plans to contact your employers, spread new rumors, systematically dismantle everything you're building. His voice hardened. Men like Marcus don't stop unless they're forced to. I forced him. And if he doesn't stay gone? Then I'll handle it differently. More permanently. The threat was clear. And I should have been horrified. Instead, I felt relief so intense it made me dizzy. Thank you, I whispered. You don't thank me for protecting you. That's just what I do. That evening, Lucien came to my apartment for the first time. It felt vulnerable, letting him into my space, the studio apartment with second-hand furniture and water stains on the ceiling, so far removed from the lofts and penthouses he inhabited. But he didn't seem to notice the shabbiness. He just looked at me. Are you okay? I don't know. I should feel guilty about you blackmailing Marcus. Should feel like I've stooped to his level. But mostly I just feel free. Then don't feel guilty. He moved closer. Marcus made his choices. He chose cruelty, vindictiveness, the systematic destruction of someone who'd rejected him. The consequences are his to bear. And what about your choices? I looked up at him. Threatening people, manipulating situations, solving problems with fear and leverage. Those are my burdens. My karma. My price to pay. His hand cupped my cheek. But I sleep fine at night knowing I use power to protect people who can't protect themselves. Can you say Marcus does the same? No. Then we're not equivalent. He kissed my forehead. You're not responsible for my morality, Elena. You're only responsible for deciding if you can accept it. I thought about that. About moral gray areas and pragmatic justice and the difference between legal and right. I think I can, I said. Accept it, I mean. Not because I approve of everything you do, but because I understand why you do it. And because I hesitated. Because you make me feel safe in a way I haven't felt in years. Good. His arms wrapped around me, solid and warm. Because you are safe. As long as I'm breathing, nobody hurts you again. We stood like that for a long time, and I let myself lean into him, let myself trust that this wasn't manipulation or strategy. Just two damaged people finding something real in a world full of performance. Over the next month, my life transformed in ways I couldn't have imagined. The new wing came together beautifully, emerging artists thrilled to be featured, collectors excited about the fresh perspectives, media coverage building anticipation. Victor was pleased with my work, giving me more responsibility, trusting my vision. And Lucien was there through all of it. Not hovering, not controlling, just present. He came to artist meetings when I needed a second opinion. He introduced me to collectors in his network. He listened when I was stressed and celebrated when things went well. We didn't define what we were to each other. Didn't put labels on the nights he stayed at my apartment or the dinners at his loft. Didn't discuss exclusivity or future plans. We just existed together, learning each other, building something without forcing it into boxes. Lucia became a friend, sharp-tongued and generous, with insights about navigating the art world and the criminal one. Alessandro treated me with fatherly kindness. Even Marco and Dante, the bodyguards, nodded respectfully when I appeared. I was being absorbed into the Moretti world, and it should have terrified me. Instead, it felt like coming home. The exhibition opened on a Friday night in October. The gallery was packed, collectors, critics, artists, society people, and the Morettis, occupying a corner like visiting royalty. I moved through the crowd in a designer dress Lucia had insisted on buying me, answering questions, introducing artists, basking in the glow of professional success. Victor found me near the centerpiece installation. This is exceptional work, Elena. Better than I'd hoped. Thank you. I had good support. And good instincts. He looked around the room. You've rebuilt what Marcus destroyed. Maybe even surpassed it. I'm proud to have you on my team. Coming from Victor Castellano, that meant something. Later, as the crowd thinned, Lucien appeared beside me. Ready to escape? God, yes. We left through the back entrance, avoiding the remaining guests. His car was waiting, not the Mercedes this time, but a sleeker sports car that was completely impractical and absolutely perfect. Where are we going? I asked as he drove through the city. You'll see. We ended up at the warehouse loft, but it was different tonight. Candles everywhere, soft music playing, the city lights twinkling through the windows. What's this? A celebration. And a conversation. He poured wine, handed me a glass. Elena, we need to talk about what we're doing. My heart stuttered. Okay. I know we've been avoiding labels. Taking it slow. Not defining this. He set down his glass, took my hands. But I need you to know something. This isn't casual for me. You're not casual. You're. He paused, searching for words. You're the first person in years who's made me want something other than power and revenge. You're brilliant and brave, and you see the world in ways that challenge me to be better. And I'm falling for you, Elena. Have been since that wedding. Maybe since you stood there refusing to be humiliated. My breath caught. Lucien. I'm not asking you to love me back. Not yet. I'm just asking you to know that this is real for me. That I'm not using you or manipulating you or playing games. I'm just a man who's finally found someone worth being honest with. Tears stung my eyes. I'm falling too, I admitted. It terrifies me, because the last time I let someone in, he destroyed me. But you're not Marcus. And I'm not who I was 6 years ago. I'm stronger now. Braver. Thanks partly to you. So where does that leave us? I thought about that. About labels and definitions and the human need to categorize things. Mid. And I claimed him right back. We're halfway through this story, and things are about to get even more intense. If you're invested in Elena and Lucien, if you want to see how this dangerous love story unfolds, make sure you're subscribed to the Korean Dawn. Every subscriber helps us create more content like this. Hit that button, turn on notifications, and stay with us. Because the real danger? It's just beginning. 3 months into our relationship, Isabella made her move. I should have seen it coming. Should have known she wouldn't accept being humiliated without retaliation. But I was happy, distracted by love and work and the life I was rebuilding. I'd stopped watching my back. Mistake. It started with an article in a gossip blog, nothing major, just innuendo about the mysterious curator dating Lucien Moretti. But then a newspaper picked it up. Then a magazine. Then suddenly everyone was speculating about my past, my connection to the Morettis, whether I'd gotten the job through talent or through sleeping with powerful men. The comments sections were brutal. Gold digger. Obviously using the Morettis for connections. I heard she was nobody before Victor Castellano gave her a job. Probably sleeping with him too. Another woman trading on her looks instead of earning success. Jennifer found me reading the comments in my office, my hands shaking. Don't, she said immediately. Don't read that garbage. They think I'm a fraud. They think every successful woman is a fraud until proven otherwise. It's misogyny, not reality. But what if they're right? What if I didn't earn this? What if? Stop. Jennifer took my phone away. You curated an exhibition that got rave reviews from every major critic. Artists are begging to work with you. Collectors are investing. The proof is in the work, not in what trolls say online. She was right. I knew she was right. But the doubt was insidious, creeping in through cracks I thought I'd sealed. That evening, I met Lucien at his loft. He took one look at my face and knew. You saw the articles. Everyone saw the articles. I collapsed onto his couch. They think I'm with you for money and connections. They think that about anyone who dates someone wealthy. He sat beside me. It doesn't make it true. But what if some of it is true? Not the gold digger part, but what if I wouldn't have this job without you? Without your connection to Victor, without the protection your name provides? Lucien was quiet for a moment. Do you want the comfortable lie or the complicated truth? Truth. Always. The truth is, connections matter. In art, in business, in every industry. Nobody succeeds completely alone. You got the job because Victor remembered your talent, but would he have reached out if you hadn't been at that wedding? Possibly not. He turned to face me. But Elena, you kept the job because you're brilliant. The exhibition succeeded because of your vision. Artists want to work with you because of your reputation. The connections opened the door. Your talent kept it open. That's not how people see it. People are idiots. Especially people who've never had to work for anything, who don't understand that success is always a combination of skill and opportunity. He took my hand. Stop letting other people's opinions define your worth. Easy for you to say. Nobody questions whether you earned your power. They question whether I deserve it. Whether it's moral, ethical, legitimate. Just different questions. He pulled me closer. We're both fighting for legitimacy in worlds that want us to fail. That's why we're good together. I leaned into him, letting his certainty shore up my doubts. Isabella did this, didn't she? The articles, the timing, she's behind it. Probably. It's her style. What are we going to do about it? Lucien's smile was sharp. What I do best. Apply pressure in places she can't defend. I didn't ask for details. Didn't want to know exactly how Lucien made things happen in his world. But within a week, the articles stopped. The gossip blogs moved on to other targets. And Isabella's favorite charity, the one she'd built her entire public image around, suddenly faced an audit from the IRS. Nothing illegal would be found, Lucien assured me. Just enough inconvenience to make Isabella's life difficult, to remind her that attacking me came with consequences. It should have bothered me. Using power to silence criticism, even unfair criticism, was the kind of thing I'd always hated about the wealthy elite. But when Lucien asked me how I felt about it, I found I couldn't muster guilt. I feel protected, I admitted. Is that terrible? It's human. You've been hurt before. Now someone's finally fighting back on your behalf. He kissed my temple. Don't overthink it. But I couldn't help overthinking. Because somewhere along the way, I'd accepted that my boyfriend was a criminal. That he solved problems with threats and leverage and occasional violence. That the life we were building together wasn't exactly legal or entirely moral. And I was okay with it. What did that make me? The answer came a month later, when everything fell apart. Victor called me into his office on a Wednesday afternoon. His expression was grim. Close the door. I did, my stomach sinking. There's been a development. The FBI is investigating certain financial transactions related to the gallery. They're claiming possible money laundering through art acquisitions. My blood turned to ice. What? It's bullshit. A fishing expedition. But they're serious, and they're looking at recent purchases, including several you've overseen. He leaned forward. Elena, I need you to understand something. This gallery is clean. I don't use it for illegal business. But the FBI knows I have other operations, and they're trying to find connections. Am I in trouble? Not yet. But they'll want to interview you. Ask about acquisitions, about how deals were structured, about who approved purchases. His eyes held mine. They'll also ask about your relationship with Lucien. There it was. The real danger of dating a mobster wasn't the violence or the moral compromise. It was becoming collateral damage in someone else's investigation. What should I do? Get a lawyer. A good one. Don't talk to the FBI without representation. He pulled out a business card. This is my attorney. She's expecting your call. And Elena, he paused. I'm sorry. You got caught in crossfire that has nothing to do with you. But it has everything to do with Lucien. Yes. I called Lucien from my office. He answered immediately. What's wrong? FBI. Gallery investigation. Victor says they'll want to question me about you. Silence. Then, I'm coming to get you. Don't go anywhere alone. Lucien arrived with Marco and Dante, his expression harder than I'd ever seen it. Pack your essentials. You're staying at my place until this is resolved. I can't just. Elena. His voice was steel. The FBI doesn't play nice. If they think you're connected to me, they'll use you to get to me. I need you where I can protect you. I'm not running from this. I'm not asking you to run. I'm asking you to be smart. He pulled me close. Please. Let me keep you safe while we figure this out. I looked at him, this dangerous, complicated man who'd somehow become my entire world, and realized I trusted him more than I trusted the system that was supposed to protect people like me. Okay. We went to the loft. Lucien immediately started making calls, to lawyers, to his father Alessandro, to contacts in law enforcement who owed him favors. I sat on the couch, processing. 6 months ago, I'd been invisible. Now I was potentially caught up in a federal investigation because I'd fallen in love with the wrong person. Or the right person, depending on how you looked at it. Lucia appeared an hour later with a suitcase full of clothes in my size. Figured you'd need more than essentials, she said, hugging me. You okay? No. I'm terrified. Good instinct. But you're also safe here. Nobody touches family, and you're family now. I'm not. Elena. She sat beside me, her expression serious. Lucien doesn't do relationships. Ever. His last girlfriend was in college, before he really understood what being a Moretti meant. Since then, nothing. Nobody got past his walls until you. She took my hand. Your family. Which means the entire Moretti organization protects you now. The FBI should be scared, not you. It should have been comforting. Instead, it was terrifying. Because now I wasn't just dating a criminal. I was protected by a criminal enterprise. I'd been absorbed so completely into their world that there was no going back. And I had to decide if that was something I could live with. The FBI interview happened 3 days later. Victor's attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia Chen, coached me thoroughly. Answer only what's asked. Don't volunteer information. If you're unsure, say you don't recall. The agents were exactly what I expected, suits, stern expressions, questions designed to trap rather than inform. They asked about art acquisitions. About purchase procedures. About who approved deals and how money moved through accounts. I answered carefully, truthfully, providing documentation Patricia had prepared. Then they asked about Lucien. Miss Cruz, how long have you been in a relationship with Lucien Moretti? Several months. And during that time, has Mr. Moretti ever asked you to approve questionable purchases? To process transactions without proper documentation? No. Has he ever used the gallery for business purposes? He's attended exhibitions. Like any patron. Miss Cruz, we're aware of Mr. Moretti's criminal activities. Money laundering, racketeering, extortion. If you're involved. I'm not, I said firmly. I curate art. I don't launder money, and I don't participate in criminal enterprises. If you have evidence otherwise, charge me. If not, I'm done answering questions. Patricia smiled slightly. The agents did not. We'll be in touch, the lead agent said. Don't leave town. Lucien was waiting when I got back to the loft. How bad? They're fishing. They don't have anything concrete, just suspicions. I collapsed beside him. But they're not going to stop. And as long as I'm with you, I'm a target. He was quiet for a long moment. I could end this, he said finally. Walk away. Make it clear we're not together. Give you distance so they leave you alone. My heart stopped. Is that what you want? No. But it might be what you need. He turned to face me. Elena, I knew this would be complicated. But I didn't think it through, didn't consider that loving me would make you vulnerable. If staying together means destroying everything you've rebuilt. Stop. I took his face in my hands, made him look at me. I'm not walking away because things got hard. I knew what you were when we started this. I chose you anyway. And I'm choosing you now. Even if it costs you everything? You're not going to let that happen. I smiled despite the fear. And neither am I. We're going to fight this together. Legally, smartly, whatever it takes. But we're not breaking up because the FBI is scared of your family. Lucien pulled me into his arms, holding me so tightly I could barely breathe. I love you, he whispered. I should have said it before, but I love you. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me. I love you too. I pulled back to look at him. Now let's figure out how to make this investigation go away. His smile was sharp and dangerous. That's my girl. Thank you for staying with this journey. If you're feeling Elena and Lucien's love, their danger, their impossible choice between safety and passion, subscribe to the Korean Dawn. We're in the home stretch now, and you don't want to miss how this ends. Every subscriber matters. Every comment fuels us. Hit that button and let's finish this story together. The FBI investigation dragged on for 2 months. They interviewed gallery staff, reviewed financial records, questioned collectors. They tried to find connections between legitimate art purchases and illegal money, but Victor's operations were too clean, too carefully separated. Eventually, they found nothing. Because there was nothing to find. The gallery was legitimate. My work was legitimate. And whatever illegal activities the Morettis engaged in, they didn't involve me or the art world. The agents finally called Patricia Chen in December. We're closing the investigation. No charges will be filed. I cried when she told me, relief so intense it felt physical. Lucien held me through it, murmuring reassurances in Italian, promising it was over. But it wasn't really over. Because the investigation had forced me to confront exactly what my life had become. I was the girlfriend of a mobster, protected by a criminal organization, living in a world where federal agents watched my every move. And I had to decide if that was a life I could accept permanently. Christmas came. The Morettis celebrated at Alessandro's estate, a sprawling property outside the city that felt more like a fortress than a home. The entire family gathered, siblings, cousins, associates, all connected by blood or business. I felt out of place at first, the only outsider in a room full of people who'd grown up in this world. But Lucia drew me into conversations. Alessandro treated me like a daughter. Even the more distant relatives were welcoming, accepting me because Lucien had claimed me. It should have felt warm. Instead, it felt suffocating. After dinner, I escaped to the garden. It was snowing lightly, beautiful and quiet. Lucien found me there. You okay? I don't know. I turned to face him. Everyone in it treats this life like it's normal. The violence, the illegality, the constant threat of investigation or arrest. They accept it as the price of power. Because it is. But I didn't grow up in that world, Lucien. I grew up believing in systems, in justice, in doing things the right way. And every day I'm with you, I compromise those beliefs a little more. He was quiet, snowflakes catching in his dark hair. Are you saying you want out? I'm saying I don't know who I am anymore. 6 months ago, I had clear lines, right and wrong, legal and illegal. Now those lines are blurred, and I'm not sure if that's growth or corruption. What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me it's going to be okay. That loving you won't destroy the person I've fought so hard to become. Lucien stepped closer, his hands cupping my face. I can't promise that. Because loving me will change you, it already has. You're harder now, more pragmatic, more willing to accept that the world isn't fair and sometimes you have to fight dirty to survive. His eyes searched mine. But Elena, you're also stronger. Braver. More yourself than you've been in years. That's not corruption. That's evolution. What if I evolve into someone I don't recognize? Then I'll remind you who you are. That's what love is, holding up mirrors so the other person can see themselves clearly. He kissed my forehead. But I won't lie to you. This life is dangerous. Complicated. Morally ambiguous. If you need to walk away to protect yourself, I'll understand. I'll hate it, but I'll understand. I thought about that. About walking away, going back to invisibility, choosing safety over love. And I realized I couldn't. I don't want to walk away, I said. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll never lie to me about what you do. Never hide the danger, never pretend your world is safer than it is. I need to know what I'm choosing. I promise. And promise me that if things get too dangerous, if loving me puts me in real danger, you'll let me go. Even if it hurts. Even if we both want to stay. His jaw tightened. Elena. Promise me, Lucien. Because I need to know that you love me enough to protect me, even from yourself. He was quiet for a long moment, snow falling around us. I promise, he finally said. If it ever comes to that, I'll let you go. But I'll spend every day until then making sure it doesn't. I kissed him then, cold and desperate and full of love that was more complicated than I'd ever imagined possible. Spring came. The gallery's success continued, more exhibitions, more acclaim, more artists wanting to work with me. My career was thriving in ways I'd never dreamed possible. And my relationship with Lucien deepened. We fell into rhythms, mornings at the loft, evenings at the gallery, weekends at Alessandro's estate or Lucia's apartment in Milan. We learned each other's habits, preferences, fears. He taught me to shoot at a private range, insisting I should know how to protect myself. I taught him about contemporary art movements he'd never explored. We argued about politics, ethics, the best pizza in the city. We made love like it was the only thing keeping us alive. It was messy and complicated and absolutely real. But underneath the happiness, I felt something building. Some inevitable confrontation that we were both avoiding. It came in April. Isabella appeared at the gallery again, but this time, she wasn't alone. Victor was with her, his expression grave. We need to talk, he said. Privately. In my office, with the door closed, Victor dropped the bomb. The feds are investigating the Morettis again. Real investigation this time, not fishing. They have an informant, wiretaps, evidence. And Lucien is the primary target. My stomach dropped. How bad? RICO charges. If they make their case, Lucien's looking at 20 to 30 years. I couldn't breathe. When? Indictments could come down within weeks. Maybe days. Victor leaned forward. Elena, I'm telling you this because you need to make a decision. If you're with Lucien when he goes down, you'll be guilty by association. Your career, your reputation, everything you've rebuilt, it'll all disappear again. Isabella spoke for the first time. Walk away now. End it before the indictments. Claim you didn't know what he was. You can survive this, I'll even help publicly distance you from the Morettis. I looked at her, this woman who tried to humiliate me, who'd made my life hell, now offering salvation. Why would you help me? Because Victor asked me to. And because, she paused. Because I was wrong about you. You're not weak or pathetic. You're intelligent and talented. And you don't deserve to have your life destroyed because you fell in love with the wrong person. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever get from her. Victor stood. Think about it carefully. You have maybe a week before everything hits the fan. Use that time wisely. They left. I sat in my office, staring at nothing, trying to process. Lucien was going to be arrested. Indicted. Probably convicted. And I had to decide, stay and go down with him, or walk away and save myself. I didn't go to the loft that night. Couldn't face Lucien until I'd figured out what I was going to do. Instead, I went to Lucia's apartment. She opened the door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. You heard. Victor told me. Is it true? Yes. She poured 2 glasses of wine, handed me one. The FBI has been building this case for 2 years. They have testimony from our accountant, who flipped last month. They have transactions, phone records, everything. And Lucien knew? He suspected. But he hoped, she sighed. He hoped they didn't have enough. Why didn't he tell me? Because he loves you. And he didn't want you to have to make this choice. Lucia sat beside me. But Elena, you do have to choose. Stay or go. There's no middle ground. I love him. I know. But love doesn't make you immune to federal prosecution. If you stay, you'll be investigated. Possibly charged as an accessory. At minimum, your reputation will be destroyed. So you think I should leave? Lucia was quiet for a moment. I think you should do whatever you need to do to survive. Because that's what our family does, we survive. Even when it means losing the people we love. Has that happened to you? Once. A man I loved who wasn't part of this world. I let him go because staying would have put him in danger. Her eyes were sad. It was the right choice. But it hurt like hell. I drank my wine, thinking. What would Lucien want me to do? Let you go. Protect you. Make sure you're safe, even if it costs him everything. She took my hand. But what he wants and what you choose don't have to be the same thing. I finally went to the loft at midnight. Lucien was waiting, and he knew immediately that I'd heard. Victor told you. Yes. And you're here to end it. I don't know what I'm here to do. He moved toward me slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. Elena, listen to me. When the indictments come down, you need to be far away from me. Publicly, visibly separated. I've already prepared a statement. We broke up weeks ago, mutual decision, completely unrelated to any investigation. You're making decisions for me. I'm protecting you. By pushing me away? By giving you a choice. His voice cracked slightly. Stay and watch me go to prison, or leave and save your career. Because those are the only options, and I will not let you destroy yourself for me. What if I want to? Then I'll push you away anyway. Because loving you means protecting you, even from yourself. I felt tears streaming down my face. This isn't fair. No. But it's reality. He pulled me close, holding me like he was memorizing the feeling. I love you, Elena. More than I've loved anything or anyone. Which is exactly why you have to go. When? Tomorrow. Announce the breakup. Tell Jennifer, tell Victor, tell anyone who asks. Make it clear you had no knowledge of my business activities. And then, his voice broke. Then live your life. Be brilliant. Be happy. Be everything you were meant to be. Without you. Without me. We stood there for a long time, holding each other while our world fell apart. And when I finally left, just before dawn, I knew it was the last time I'd see Lucien Moretti as a free man. The indictments came down on a Tuesday morning. 6 members of the Moretti family, including Lucien. RICO charges, money laundering, racketeering. The news was everywhere, headlines screaming about the Mafia prince finally facing justice. I watched from my apartment, my heart breaking with every update. Lucien had been arrested at the loft. Bail set at $5 million. Trial date months away. I wanted to go to him, visit him in jail, promise him I'd wait. But that would destroy everything he'd sacrificed to protect. So instead, I released a statement. I ended my relationship with Mr. Moretti several weeks ago due to personal differences. I had no knowledge of any illegal activities and have been fully cooperative with law enforcement. I asked for privacy during this difficult time. The media ate it up. Some people believed me. Others called me a liar or a coward. I didn't care. I just missed him. The trial was a media circus. I didn't attend, couldn't risk being photographed there, being associated with the defense. But I followed every update obsessively. The prosecution had a strong case. Testimony from the accountant, financial records, wiretaps. Lucien's lawyers fought hard, but the evidence was damning. 3 months into the trial, the verdict came down. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing, 25 years in federal prison. I cried until I had nothing left. 6 months after the verdict, I received a letter. Prison stationery, careful handwriting. Elena, I hope this letter finds you well. I've been following your career, even in here, news filters through. The exhibition you curated in June was brilliant. I knew you'd keep soaring. I'm writing because I need you to know something. Everything I did, the distance, the breakup, the statement, I did to protect you. Not because I stopped loving you. Never because of that. Asterisk, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. You made me want to be better, to build something beyond violence and power. Even though I failed, even though I'm here, that time with you was worth everything, asterisk. Asterisk, don't write back. Don't visit. Just live your life, Elena. Be happy. Be brilliant. Be everything I saw in you that night at the wedding, asterisk. And know that somewhere, behind these walls, I'm proud of you. Always. Lucien. I read the letter 100 times. And then I made a decision. The prison visit request took weeks to process. When it was finally approved, I drove 3 hours to the federal facility where Lucien was serving his sentence. The visiting room was depressing, white walls, metal tables, guards watching. And then Lucien walked in. He looked thinner, harder, the softness I'd known scraped away by prison life. But his eyes, those dark, intense eyes, they lit up when he saw me. Elena, what are you doing here? I sat across from him, my hands shaking. I got your letter. I told you not to come. You told me a lot of things. I'm choosing which ones to listen to. I leaned forward. Lucien, I love you. I've loved you since that wedding, and I'll love you for the next 25 years if that's what it takes. You can't. I can. I'm choosing to. I pulled out papers from my bag. I've been working with Patricia Chen. There might be grounds for appeal, prosecutorial misconduct, improper wiretaps. It's a long shot, but she thinks we have a chance. His expression shifted, hope warring with disbelief. Why would you do this? Because you protected me. Now I'm protecting you. I smiled through tears. That's what love is, right? Fighting for each other, even when it's hard. Elena, if you do this, if you publicly support my appeal, your career will survive. Because I'm talented, and because I stopped caring what people think. I took his hand across the table. I spent 6 years being invisible because I was afraid. I'm done being afraid. If loving you means fighting the FBI and public opinion and my own doubts, then that's what I'll do. Lucien's eyes were wet. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you have me anyway. The appeal took 2 years. During that time, I visited Lucien every month. Wrote letters every week. Supported Lucia and Alessandro through the family crisis. And I kept working. Kept curating. Kept building a career that proved I was more than the mob boss's girlfriend. Patricia Chen was brilliant. She found evidence of FBI misconduct, improper warrants, testimony that had been coerced. The appeal court agreed to review. And on a cold February morning, they issued their ruling. Conviction overturned. New trial ordered. Lucien was released pending the retrial. I was waiting outside the prison when he walked out. He looked stunned, disbelieving, like he couldn't quite process freedom. And then he saw me. We collided in the parking lot, holding each other so tightly neither of us could breathe. You did this, he whispered. You fought for me. Always. For as long as you'll have me. That's forever, then. We kissed in the prison parking lot while Lucia cheered and photographers captured the moment. And I didn't care. Because I'd learned something important over the past 2 years. Love wasn't safe. Wasn't easy. Wasn't the fairy tale I'd imagined as a girl. But it was worth fighting for. The retrial never happened. The prosecution, embarrassed by the overturned conviction, offered a plea deal. Lucien would plead guilty to minor charges, serve 3 years, with time served counting, and the Moretti family would cooperate with federal oversight of their legitimate businesses. Lucien took the deal. 3 years. We could survive 3 years. On a warm day in May, I stood in a small courthouse wearing a simple white dress. Lucien stood beside me in a suit, looking healthier than he had in prison but still marked by the experience. Alessandro and Lucia were our witnesses. Do you, Elena Cruz, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? I looked at Lucien, this dangerous, complicated, beautiful man who'd changed my entire life. I do. And do you, Lucien Moretti, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? His smile was brilliant. I do. Forever. 5 years later. The gallery opening was packed, collectors, critics, artists, the cream of the art world. I moved through the crowd in a designer dress, answering questions, introducing my newest discovery, a young artist from the Bronx whose work challenged every comfortable assumption about power and poverty. Lucien appeared beside me, our daughter balanced on his hip. Mama's busy, he told 3-year-old Sophia. But we can watch from here. Our daughter, dark-haired and sharp-eyed, already showing signs of inheriting both our stubborn natures, pointed at a painting. Pretty. Very pretty, Lucien agreed. Your mama has excellent taste. I smiled at them, my family, my complicated, beautiful, real family. Lucien had served his time, gotten out, and rebuilt his life around legitimate businesses. He still had connections to the Moretti world, still operated in gray areas. But he'd promised me transparency, and he'd kept that promise. I knew exactly what he did. The risks, the dangers, the moral compromises. And I'd chosen to stay anyway. Because love wasn't about perfection. It was about seeing someone completely, the good, the bad, the dangerous, and choosing them anyway. Speech time, Lucia called from across the gallery. Your adoring public awaits. I took the microphone, looked out at the crowd. Thank you all for coming. This exhibition represents something important to me, giving voice to artists who've been told they don't belong, who've been made invisible by systems that value wealth over talent. 5 years ago, I was one of those invisible people. And I looked at Lucien. Someone saw me anyway. The crowd applauded. But I was only looking at him. At the man who'd stood up for me when I was nothing. Who'd fought for me when I was afraid. Who'd let me fight for him when the world tried to tear us apart. After the speech, after the congratulations, after the crowd thinned, we walked out into the warm night together. Happy? Lucien asked. Yes. You? More than I ever thought possible. Sophia had fallen asleep on his shoulder. We walked toward the car, and I thought about the journey, from that humiliating wedding invitation to this moment, with a career I loved and a family I'd fought for. It hadn't been easy. It hadn't been safe. But it had been worth it. Elena? Lucien said as we reached the car. Yes? Thank you. For what? For seeing me. For choosing me. For being brave enough to love someone like me. I stood on my toes, kissed him softly. Thank you for seeing me first. We drove home through the city, our city, full of danger and possibility, and I knew that whatever came next, we'd face it together. Because some love stories don't follow the rules. Some love stories are messy and complicated and morally ambiguous. But those are often the ones worth telling. Thank you for joining us on Elena and Lucien's journey. If you loved this story, if it made you feel something real, then please subscribe to the Korean Dawn, hit that like button, and share this with someone who loves dark romance. Your support means everything, and it helps us create more stories like this. Drop a comment telling us your favorite moment. Was it the wedding confrontation? The FBI investigation? The prison letters? We want to hear from you. And remember, the best love stories aren't the easy ones. They're the ones that challenge us, change us, and prove that sometimes the most dangerous choice is also the most worthwhile. Until next time, stay brave, stay visible, and never stop fighting for the love you deserve. This is the Korean Dawn. Thank you for being here.